Yes, Verstappen still has a slim chance of stealing this championship away from McLaren, but it would take nothing short of a miracle and an endless run of bad luck for the McLaren drivers in order for the four-time world champion to score a fifth consecutive title. That's not to say that it can't happen or that we haven't seen something similar happen in the past, but if we're being realistic, it's quite unlikely at this point. The bigger problem, in my opinion, is that when McLaren likely win both championships, will anyone actually care? A lot has been made of the rivalry, or lack thereof, between the McLaren drivers this year. The passive relationship between the two, coupled with the overly involved micromanagement from the team, has created one of the most uneventful runs to the title that we've seen in recent years. And that includes 2023, where Verstappen won 19 out of 22 races. At the start of the year, there was anticipation as to how 2025 would play out. It was starting to become clear that there would be an intra-team battle between the two drivers, as the team had clearly separated themselves from the rest of the competition. We had two of the most talented drivers on the current F1 grid, in a race-winning car, both going for their first ever world championship in Formula One. And yet two simple words will put to bed any interest in this championship fight between these two McLaren drivers. Papaya rules. A term I'm sure everyone is sick and tired of hearing by now, but this has summed up McLaren's approach to the Drivers' Championship this year. Unlike championship battles we've seen in the past, McLaren have gone out of their way to carefully control and manufacture an environment between their drivers that feels out of place in Formula One. But they've succeeded so far. Admittedly, neither of their drivers have shown an outwardly aggressive character that would suggest we see an explosive title fight like we had in 2021. But any attempts that the drivers have made to prioritize themselves and go after this championship on their own terms has immediately been shut down by McLaren. That's not to say that the team are in the wrong per se, as we've seen what can happen when team principals lose control, but it does mean that there's no intrigue in this title fight. There's no interest because it's become too predictable. As soon as Piastri or Norris even think about stepping out and playing the team game, there McLaren are again, to restore a level of fairness, if that's what we want to call it. Although it benefits the team as a whole, there's no denying that it takes away from the racing on track, which was supposed to be the highlight of the season. Their approach to the championship almost feels anti-F1, if that were even a thing. In some ways, this predictable pattern has caused McLaren more problems than it solved. With increasing accusations of bias being put to the team, they found themselves in a position where they're damned if they do and damned if they don't. The team's over-involvement on track has ironically led them to a place where their actions are starting to be called into question more and more for being unfair to their drivers. As no matter how fair McLaren want to make this championship fight, there's simply some things in F1 that the team can't control. Now with the Constructors' Championship being wrapped up in Singapore and tensions between the drivers finally starting to ramp up, you'd think the stage has been set for a final showdown over the next 6 races. But if McLaren's management of the championship so far is anything to go by, we could be in store for one of the most forgettable title fights we've seen in recent years.